Hello and welcome to the Footy Philosophy Podcast. I'm the host today, Kevin, joined by Brendan as always. It's a rare time where I'm rocking a kit and you're not. This might be the first ever time actually. Um, but yeah,
It
we'll
might
talk
be.
about we'll talk about my Spurs later on. First, we want to discuss the new UCL format, as we've known this for a little bit, but they're kind of really rolling it out now because it'll take place later this year. And we see the league phase enter in. Do you have any early thoughts about this? You want to break it down first? It's really up to you.
So to be honest, I put a link in the notes and we can just show the video straight from Twitter what UEFA put out. It's like a minute long, a minute and a half long. Um, which will break it down so then we don't have to, because it kind of, it has examples on there of like what's going on, and then we can kind of discuss it if you want to do it like that.
Sure thing. I just accidentally
I can get it real quick.
played the video. I don't know if it was blaring through.
No, nothing came through at all.
Good,
Give me
good.
Yeah, I just need to share screen. This one. Let me know if you can hear this.
For the UEFA Champions League,
Can you hear that?
the
I have to throw that
2032
in.
group stage will be replaced by
Shots at the
a
Super
league
League.
phase.
Kind of comical. It's like kind of funny.
Yeah,
First off, before we even get started on talking about it, they picked the worst man with the worst sounding voice on planet Earth to do that. It couldn't have been any worse. Um, it sounded kind of whiny to me, but whatever. Um, for starters, this is the format that the Super League had, right? A little different, actually. The thought's the same, but it's different.
yeah.
Um, they had to throw in the including sporting base because that's their big thing. And on Twitter, if you go through the comments, it's like you literally stole this from the Super League, but you keep all the money. Yeah. Um. So Kev, watching the video, we knew kind of that, but I didn't know that you were gonna play your pot twice. You know what I mean? Like there were some things in there that I didn't see. I didn't know Conference League I didn't know Conference League was broken up into six pots. So, I learned something there. Kev, you're a genius. You probably knew all that already. Um, what are your thoughts on just that in general? Do you like it? Do you No, I'll let you
Well,
go.
because FM is such a good game made by people who actually care about the game, other than EA. This has been in the game for like the past 2 or 3 years since they came out with it. Like once you get up to 24, 25, it changes. And so I've had some saves where I'm in the UCL, and it's always been like pretty fascinating to see how you play a lot of harder games right away. Like they said, you're gonna see top clashes from the start of the season, because like you might be managing Madrid, for example, and you're like, oh shit, I have Bayern in November now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's actually worthwhile. So from a fan standpoint, I like it. I can't lie to you. Um, but from obviously like the political side of the game and from a player welfare standpoint, it is obviously a lot more games, a lot more games.
I mean,
Um,
their thing is that it only adds two games. That's
Not
they're
necessarily
going
though
for.
from the UCL, because you also have to do the playoff
The
phase
round
now
of
too.
32, yeah, I know. So it adds four more games for some teams.
Yeah,
Um,
and you're also not going to be able to rotate your squad as much. Obviously, in the group stages of the UCL, we see a lot of squad rotation from the more elite teams, which is fine, I guess. You're gonna have to have even more depth to win the UCL now. Um, and you also allow for maybe some more fairy tale runs. Um, but yeah, from a fan standpoint, I think it's pretty cool, but only time will tell. Where do you stand?
so something that I'm gonna miss is the draws. Like that's really gonna suck. And like I'm looking forward to the draw. Like after these next two Champions League weeks are done, because we do have Champions League tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to the draw, and that's just never going to be there anymore. I think they should do draws still. To me, that would make the competition better. Like, yeah, if you get 1 through 8, like you get drawn against your next opponent. It's not just like the number 24 team beat the number 9 team, so they're playing one. You know what I mean? Like keep everybody on their toes, you know what I mean? And there are going to be some good teams that get 1 through 8, and there are going to probably be some teams that don't deserve to be 1 through 8 that get 1 through 8. There's going to be some teams that get eliminated that probably don't get to be eliminated. That's the one negative about this format is that let's just you're Man United. Let's just use them. They got eliminated, right? You are, let's just say, I think they're probably pot 2. Let's just say that in pot 3 you get fucking Galatasaray away. In pot 4 you get Copenhagen away. Those are really tough games that aren't going to be easy. And pot 1's still a crapshoot anyway. Pot 1's always been a crapshoot because of pot 2 is always tougher than pot 1. Um, because you have teams like Liverpool, normally Real Madrid, that might not have won their leagues that are in pot 2. And I wonder how that's going to work out because the majority of the top 4 leagues are going to run pots 2 and 1. Well, not 1, but pot 2, especially like the EPLs and the um like Atletico is always pot 2, Real Madrid's pot 2, Liverpool's pot 2, Man United I want to say was pot 2 this year too. Like Bayern's going to be pot 2 next year. So that's kind of shitty, and I'm assuming they're going to want to keep it so you can't play your own league, which should be the correct decision, but pot 2 is going to be a shit hole if that happens. And I guess they got to kind of figure out how that happens and how that works out. And the pots are going to have to change. There's going to have to be more teams in the pots now. So 36. And as you know, but we should probably explain, is that some countries get 5 spots now, and that's determined by how well your team's doing UCL. And Kev, I don't know if you know who has the spots right now, but it's Italy.
Yep.
And I want to say, is it the Bundesliga or is it that's what I thought. And it's based on how the teams do in all 3 leagues. So, because someone like Leverkusen did really well, that helps Germany. Because Dortmund topped their group, that's definitely why they got the 5th spot. And every single round, Betis getting eliminated in the round 32 really hurt La Liga's chances of getting the 5th spot. You know what I mean? Um, to me, that's stupid. That was a dumb idea. Just give it to someone. Just give it to a team that this would mean a lot to them. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. And the reason they did
Yeah.
that is because they have hopes of getting like a Man United in there. That was their draw from it all. And that's because, and they did that because of the Super League. This whole thing is because of the Super League. I don't really think it needed to change. I kind of like the way it was because you kind of had the beginning of the season where like everyone's just you're kind of trying you're feeling each other out. You know what I mean? Like Bayern can kind of take it a little bit slower. Real Madrid, City, all these teams feel comfortable. Now you might play a week where it's like Atletico, Barcelona, Bayern away. You know what I mean? You're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
Yeah. No,
and
it's good.
all it's gonna cause a lot of injuries because guys are gonna be running out their Gala 11s at the beginning of the season when guys are still trying to get their fitness back. Um, these guys really don't hit peak fitness until like March, April. Like we're hitting peak fitness like now because these guys get injuries. These guys, well, they get injuries and they go away for international duty, and the whole season is built. Everybody's season is built to win now. That's the goal. You want to win now because you want to make that late season push. You want to push for your European competition. That's the goal. Um, yeah, those are just kind of my thoughts on it. I'm like indifferent about it. I'm a visual learner, so like I need to see it in action before I'll actually say this fucking sucks or this is a good idea.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think, like I said earlier, it's going to be cool to see Madrid and Bayern play in November and have more opportunities to see better games. But obviously, if you haven't listened to our Super League episodes, we've talked about all this type of stuff before. It's what the game has come to, and UEFA for now has the sort of stronghold on the most elite club level games. Really, that's
Well, and
all
I
it is.
was gonna say also, we'll talk probably a little bit more in depth about it when we get to the Real Madrid Valencia stuff because of where that will go in turn just based on what happened.
Fair enough. In other news, Mbappe, uh, he's a bit of a diva, I would argue. Um,
A bit.
yeah, so he gets taken off at halftime and leaves the dressing room while being captain of the team. That is no bueno from just about any other club standpoint other than PSG, I would argue. I don't think there's as spineless of a team. Not to really, sorry if you're a PSG fan, but you might agree
Punish
with
him,
me.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it's also something that was funny was apparently Ethan Mbappe's contract's up, and apparently Luis Enrique really likes Ethan Mbappe, and apparently like when Kylian announced to the dressing room that he was leaving, Luis Enrique just looked at Ethan. He's like, "Well, what about you?" So
yeah,
there's a lot of turmoil going on right now. He keeps getting taken off. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I know our listeners probably have or haven't. It doesn't hurt to mention it. He's been getting taken off early every single game, and like Luis Enrique has been saying, like, "Well, we have to learn how to play without him." So it kind of seems like they're both trying to big dick each other, but like it's completely unacceptable to walk out on your team. And you can be pissed at the coach, but to walk out on your team that you're the captain of and you're captaining the side and you get taken off at halftime and you put on your fucking civvies and fucking walk up to the stands and go hang out with your mom and dad. Like, okay, he didn't leave the stadium, but I would have rathered him just sat in the locker room until the end of the match. And let's let's mention PSG tied this game 0-0. Like he's been he's been kind of mid recently. Like he hasn't been good in PSG. Have been like stuttering, and even the one game, I don't know if you remember. I think they're playing like La Havre, and they were down like 2-1 or 1-0, and then like Gonzalo Ramos had to save them late. It's just if he's already checked out of PSG, then he should just check out of PSG and stop getting paid.
yeah. I mean, they still have their Champions League campaign, which obviously comes
We'll
back
see
this
how
week.
that goes. Yeah, I
Yeah, that could
think they play
really
tomorrow,
go.
right?
Yeah, that could really go either way in my eyes. Um, they should be through against Sociedad.
Who've been
Should be.
terrible, which we'll get to.
Yeah. Um, in other news, if you're ready to move on, Eric Dyer resigns at Bayern until 2025. Thomas Tuchel has liked him. Pretty much every single coach that Eric Dyer finds himself playing for ends up liking Eric Dyer. He always finds a way to play games. If you're watching, you can see I have vast experience with Eric Dyer. Um, every coach that came to Spurs liked him. He's obviously a hard worker and, willingness to learn as well. Um,
Yeah, but Tuchel's not going to be there, so it's kind of weird.
it is weird. I don't like
Unless
clubs.
the
Sorry, go
unless the
ahead.
sporting director. No, I was just going to say unless the sporting director, the new one, Eric Abdel, I forget his name. I'll look it up in a sec. Unless he who took over the role March 1st, which this kind of does check out. Um, unless he was like, hey, re-sign him for one more year. Maybe they think that someone's going to be moving. Like maybe a delict. You know what I mean? Uh,
I
I'm
do
not
think
really sure. It's Mark Eberl, so I got the E and the E mixed up. It's Mark Eberl. Eric Dyer's contract has been extended until June 2025.
I do
He's
think
the one that said it, the director, Max Eberl.
I
So
got you. I do think that Eric Dyer is someone that you don't really risk signing, even though you know you're gonna have a new coach because, like I said, he's a hard worker and he's really for the team. It's a lot different than, let's say, City re-signing Bernardo Silva, even though they know Pep's going to leave. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
that would be a risk because we've only really seen Bernardo Silva play well under Pep. Obviously, he was good at Monaco, but you get the idea. Um, you want to move on to the Prem?
Yes, I'm good with that.
And the Premier League, I think this Premier League game week was a lot more interesting than last. Starting off with Chelsea having to come back as they go up first against Brentford and play terrific in the first half. This is pretty much par for the course for Chelsea, but then they lose it all, going down 2-1, and then get lucky late and equalize 2-2. That was through Disasi. Um, Once again, Chelsea, I think they got out XG'd in this game. If not, it was very close. You know what? I think they actually dominated them in XG.
I'll
Now that
check.
I think now that I think about it, but I mean,
I'm
it's
not
just
really sure. I didn't tune in. It was an earlier game.
yeah,
They
it was the
definitely
early slot.
dominated in attacking momentum. XG, it was equal, 1.83 to 1.81 in Brentford's favor, according to SOFA.
Yeah, so draw is probably a fair result, but Pochettino's. I do you think it's do you think he's got to be on the hot seat?
I think that they're going to act like he's on the hot seat. I don't think he should be, though.
Why not?
I don't, um, I just, I can't take them serious until I see an actual nine.
Fair enough. I
Like Nico Jackson missed a sitter really badly. And, you know,
that's
that would have been, which is par of the course for him. Um, but I just really can't take him seriously until I actually see it. And like a fit in Kunku for a couple months in a row. The team on paper is pretty brutal.
yeah, it isn't the greatest. Um, but a good result from Brentford as well. Who they've looked pretty solid ever since Tony's coming back. Um, so yeah, that's a good little mid-table clash there, eh? Brighton poor form
Yeah.
continues, and Deserby's
Um,
sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that I finally found it on Mark stats. He has 2.43 for Brentford and 2.15 for Chelsea, so still pretty similar, but
Yeah,
more in Brentford's favor.
that's interesting. The disparity between the two models.
Always, dude.
Very interesting. Anyways, Brighton's poor form continues. Um, they lost 3-0 to Fulham. I think kudos has to go to Fulham here. Um, they came back to the Prem, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, spent a whole bunch of money, and it was a disaster. Since then, they had guys like Mitrovic kind of lead them back to the Prem, and then last year they were pretty solid. Like there was a good amount of time where uh, you're thinking they could snag Conference League, and even now they're still kind of in and around those spots. They're a certified mid-table side, and I think we got to stop disrespecting Fulham. Marco Silva has done a fantastic job there. If you're a club that's like 1 or 2 tiers above Fulham, like West Ham or a Sevilla, those types of squads, I don't know why you wouldn't try and get Marco Silva from Fulham. Maybe it is his level, but he's done an amazing job, and they've also extremely benefited from João Palhinha. He's one of the best sixes in the Prem, if not the world, really. Um, just doesn't get
There's
the
a reason Bayern wanted him.
yeah for sure. That was a crazy saga. But yeah, Brighton
They won
are
the EFL in 2022.
they won the
So EFL Championship in 2022.
okay yeah
After relegation, Fulham under Silva earned promotion back to the top tier with 4 games to go, winning the 21-2022 championship.
21-22. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
that
they've been
checks
up for
out.
2 years now, but they went down and then came back up. It seems like pretty, like kind of right away.
Yeah, And they finished mid-table last year, and this year they're in 12th right now. They're competing with London rivals Chelsea, believe it or not.
Yeah. I actually hate Fulham with like every being in my
Oh, really?
body. Oh yeah,
What?
dude. Because this is actually just me being petty. Um, I don't know if you know the one guy on Twitter. I doubt you do because you're not on Twitter. He's like a U.S. men's national team Twitter account, and he was hyping up Anthony Robinson over Mateus Oliveira, and Oliveira's much better in my opinion, but he was like, nah, Anthony Robinson's better, and I was just like, the dude plays for Fulham. You're comparing a Fulham player to a Napoli player, like a round of 16 Champions League player to a mid-table EPL player, and just typical, just shit on. He plays in Serie A. This is the EP, whatever.
Yeah.
So I've been very anti Fulham, and I want to see them go down just so I can be like, what a fucking moron.
Well, much of their success is not Anthony Robinson. He's
No, he's not. He's mid as fuck.
he's just he's a good athlete for sure, but I wouldn't say
He's
he's a
got cool
crazy good
hair.
footballer.
I like his hair.
Yeah,
No, I tend to agree though. That was my point. But Americans, so
yeah. Um, but yeah, Brighton are in really poor form. I think it's so weird. I don't remember when Brighton were kind of this sloppy. I do think Zerbi got the lineup wrong here, from what I can remember. Let me refresh my memory, if y'all don't mind.
but while you look at that, just the highs are so high and then the lows are so low for them. Like they just got completely outclassed by Fulham, but like they could go to like Liverpool and just completely outclass Liverpool, and it's so night and day for them, which is so sickening on way too many levels.
It is, and here's the thing. I know that De Zerbi loves to rotate his squad, but Pascal Gross on the bench, Adingra on the bench, and Buonanotte on the bench, who have been three of their most important attackers this season. I know João Pedro's injured, which is a big loss. Same with Matoma. Um, Sully March is also going to come back soon, which is huge for them. But anyways, I don't know. I don't know why you would rotate it that heavy. Adam
Especially
Lallana,
away from home.
yeah, Adam
Do it at
Lallana gets the
home.
start, and
Lalana started.
yeah,
Jesus Christ. Forgot that
and
dude still played.
he also started Van Hecke, a center back, in the double pivot.
That's lovely.
So
This is the guy that's going to be the next Barca coach, apparently. So I'm
yeah,
all
and
for it.
starting a center back in a double pivot is pretty much just skipping a step to what Pep does. So like, I don't hate it, but I also don't love it, if you know what I mean.
Depends on the center back. It needs a certain profile.
Yeah, and Van Hecke,
Christensen's done a good job there. Stones does a good job when he bumps up. Pepe's played there. Sergio Ramos has played there.
yeah, Van Hecke is a good ball playing defender, but I don't know. I don't know why you're trying that out now, especially when you're in poor form. Um,
That's the kicker. Like, when you're in poor form, you should just be like, look, guys, we got to go back to what works.
yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, when you're in poor form, you almost just go like, you know what, 4-4-2. Let's just rock. Let's rock and roll. Um, but I'm ready to move on from this game if you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool.
I did not expect to spend that much time on Fulham Brighton, but there you go.
We did it for Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. Newcastle dominate Wolves, ending Wolves' really, really awesome run. I did not see this coming. I'm sure a lot
Me
of people
neither.
did not. Especially 3-0.
I would have bet on Wolves to win, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
didn't
noticed.
because I was like, it can go either way. I would have bet on Wolves. They were like, bet something to happen in this game. I probably would have bet both teams to score, which didn't happen, and maybe Wolves or draw. And yeah, I would have lost money.
Yeah. And Wolves were missing Huang Hee-chan as well as Mateus Cunha this game. So their two most important attackers. Gary O'Neill was forced to start Bellegarde and the 9 here, which is not what you want. It's
He
not
had
what
some
you
key
want.
names on the bench too, I saw. Like it seems like he kind of just accept like Pablo Sarabia was not starting, and I know he doesn't always start for them, but Pablo Sarabia was a mainstay in the Spain squad literally like less than 2 years ago. So he's like a class player. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remembered looking at the bench and being like, he left some really good players out. And I'm not going to sit here and say I watched Wolves on a. Never mind. I lied. Pablo played. It must have been another game. Oh, I'm losing my mind. Don't listen to me. I must be thinking of a different game because Pablo
No,
Sarabia played. You should have corrected me.
it's okay. It's okay. Um,
Apparently, I'm saying idiot shit. Maybe
I'm
it was the
looking
game
here.
before.
Jose Sa 4.7 rating for Wolves. Subbed
It
off.
was the game before. That's what it was. Yeah, the game before had Neto and Sarabia on the bench. That's what I was looking at
Interesting.
when it came in my mind when they beat Brighton 1-0. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a bit of a
continue.
different
Sorry.
lineup.
Yeah.
Anyways, good on Newcastle. I think they're getting healthier now. This is also a game tactically, in hindsight, I guess works out for them. Um, two mid blocks playing against each other. Newcastle,
How you beat a mid block?
yeah, that's what they've always been best at, really. Um, yeah. Liverpool grab a late winner thanks to Darwin Nunez against Nottingham Forest. This was late. This was like 90 plus
Yeah,
5.
90 plus 9
90 plus 9. Holy shit.
and
Um,
plus 9. Like they got plus 9, and he scored it in plus 9.
that is wild. I didn't get to see this. It looked like you had some things to
Yeah, I
say
can
here.
talk about it. I can talk
Yeah.
about it. So technically, the ref made a really wrong decision. I don't remember what minute it was at. But I did have money on Liverpool in a parlay, so I was pretty happy about it. But Madrid sold it anyway, which again we'll get to later. Um, but Konate had a head injury, which means the game should stop immediately. So I get called by the ref on that one. Um, but Salim Cho, on loan from is he loan from Chelsea? I kind of just assumed he was still there, but I don't know. Uh,
He's there permanently.
oh, okay. Callum Hudson-Odoi had the ball top of the box. Um, so when there is a injury, you give the ball back to the other team, except when the ball is in the box. Let's say there's a head injury, ball in the box, it goes right to the keeper. Cho was not in the box. They gave the ball back to the keeper. I believe there was like 2 minutes left to play. I want to say it was like 96th minute, 95th minute. And this just kind of, they gave the ball back to Liverpool, which then in turn, Nottingham Forest never cleared the ball properly. And McAllister gets the ball and crosses it in, and 2 minutes later. So, um, Nottingham Forest fans were pretty much losing their mind, and players and coach, because it was an incorrect call that kind of cost them the game. But something that will be said is that Nottingham Forest did, like, it was a turnover which led to McAllister's cross. They could have just booted the ball to play and the game would have ended. They could have booted it down the field. They could have, they tried to dribble out of their own end and it hurt them. So it did not cost them the game, but it indirectly cost them the game because of a wrong call.
Yeah. And this is a very, very crucial point that they could have had. Um, they're 4 points clear of Luton right now, but Luton do have a game in hand. So they're firmly in the relegation battle. And Liverpool, they stay top for now. The one thing I will say, the massive takeaway for me from this game is that Liverpool generate so many chances, 22 total shots, but only 2 on target. We see this a lot from Liverpool, and I'm wondering if it will catch up with them in the end because the XG here is 2.0 to 0.97. So Forest stood up to them, Like, yeah, they deserve to lose probably, but they stood up to them. It wasn't a lucky 1-0. And I'm just wondering if Liverpool, it could bite them in the butt one day.
It might, we have it's going to push down to the wire here. So
Yeah. Um, Speaking of Luton, they were in a 5-goal thriller against Aston Villa. this weekend, but Aston Villa got the win. Luton always just play a really exciting game,
I
and
love them right now.
yeah, they're awesome. I really want them to stay up, but yeah, Villa get the away win, which is big for them, and I kind of don't like to see it right now. If you look at the table, um, speaking of looking at the table and me not liking it, Spurs win 3-1 against Crystal Palace. Palace scored first, but I would have argued that Spurs could have easily scored before then. Um, Palace scored from a beautiful Ebreche Eze free kick. I've been singing this guy's praise for a long time now. He needs to move on somewhere. He is a very, very good player. He's the only source of. Well, Mateta had an alright game for Palace, but Eze is really just the key for Palace. I also wanted to mention that Tottenham have the second longest home scoring streak in Premier League history. 38 games. 38 games. So they've pretty much gone a whole season with with scoring at home. That's pretty cool. XG on this game was 1.9 to 0.3. So
That goes
Spurs,
beyond Ange, right?
huh?
I'm guessing that goes beyond just Ange.
Yeah, yeah. Um, for whatever reason, the new stadium just sucks up goals, but I love it. Um, this has kind of been typical Spurs as of late. We dominate the ball in the first half, but we just there's not any incision. There's not really any true confidence even in the attacking third. We get it there, and then it kind of just falls apart, and we fall into that horseshoe thing. Um, we're really better at scoring from transition, which is something I'm definitely kind of worried about moving on into the future. Um,
I don't think you should be because that's kind of what suits you against bigger teams is being able to score in transition and winning leagues. I mean, okay, winning leagues is how you beat little teams, which is why Pep wins a ton of leagues, but it's why Pep doesn't usually win the Champions League because they're not good against scoring against big teams because big teams will kill them on the counter.
yeah,
And they
it's
know how
just
to defend properly. Like they know how to defend a little bit lower and more comfortable.
yeah. I don't know because against the smaller teams or against the bigger teams rather, we still try and dominate the ball. We'll see. We'll see. Here though, Postecoglou has started to take off an 8 and add in 10, or add a winger. Then Kulusevski moves to the 10, so he kind of makes this 4-1-4-1 type of thing, or even a in possession it would be a 2-3-5, but a bit more attacking, and it's what gets us the goals. Just more bodies forward, really. Eventually, the defense can't handle it anymore. Oh, I wanted to show the zones and control map because I think it kind of speaks to what I'm talking about. So if you can see here, we have Spurs, and it looks good. It looks good. We're controlling a lot of the pitch, but we're not controlling zone 14, 49%. And if you look at City, they're controlling it, 57. That's who we want to be, is
What about the
Manchester.
zones to the right and left of zone 14? I'm sure that's like 70%. I'm just curious for Man City.
Oh, for City,
Yeah.
62 and
Okay.
62. Um,
Yeah, I'm not surprised on those because that's kind of where KDB likes to operate. And
yeah,
when Doku's not on the, at least last year, whenever who was playing on the left, it was usually what Foden last year and Grealish.
yeah. Grealish was usually left last year.
Interesting.
I think this just speaks to Tottenham's problem with the first half. We're not getting the ball here. Take a look at Arsenal too.
Well,
They're a
and
bit better.
Madison's kind of went into a not poor form, but Madison's kind of went into a dip in form. and so that's usually the area he operates in, and he did miss some time already, so that also might play a part.
Yeah, no, for sure. Ever since he's come back from injury, he hasn't been totally sharp yet. I still think he's probably not at 100%, to be honest. Um, Also, just another thing that's interesting here is Chelsea's zones of control map looks really good. Like, all of their advanced metrics are solid. They just,
Which is why I'm not ready to jump on Poch yet. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like the analytical side looks really good for him, and I'm sure that's what he's telling his guys. Which is why I'll, if he gets a 9 in there and it's still not working, then I'll be like, okay, it's time for someone else. But when does it get to the point where you're just firing people and replacing and firing people, replacing and firing and replacing? This isn't Real Madrid where you're expected to get results 24/7. Um, and in the Prem right now, it's really important to build towards something instead of just building towards a season.
yeah, for sure. I think I think you're right. I think what a team like Chelsea or Spurs should be doing is what Arsenal did. Um,
In
this,
Liverpool
yeah, that is
and
true.
City, I mean, City did do the same too. Like, and it's the anti-Manchester United.
You're right. You're right.
No, because they just try to plug holes with older players, and then by the time they plug the DM role, and it's like, oh man, now we don't have a 9, and then you just throw a kid up there, and it's just kind of like that's the one thing Mourinho always did right with them is he plugged the holes. He plugged all the holes. He didn't just plug like one, like it's a sinking ship, and Mo's like, all right, well, this is only going to last for the year, but all holes are plugged. We're good for the year. They only plug a couple holes, but it's still a sinking ship.
Yeah, and they did win a trophy when Mourinho was there. So I see your point, and I
Well,
think that
come
was
on, bro. They won the Carabao Cup last year. Is that what they won?
yeah, true. But
Come on, dude. Ten Hag. Come on. Don't
I will
disrespect them.
I will always argue that the Europa League is a bit more impressive than the Carabao Cup.
I would
But
say the Europa League is a lot more impressive than every trophy you can win in England.
aside from the Prem, or more impressive than
I
the
think
Prem,
it's I think it's more like
I don't know about that.
that's a tough one. The Champions League definitely is, but
Well, yeah,
The Europa League is tough, man. It's not easy, bro. Winning any competition in Europe is not easy. It is a lot harder. Nah, it's really hard to be consistent over 38 games. Plus, Pep's been dominating for a long time. I don't know. It's bigger than any trophy except for the Prem. I think
that's
that's
fair.
that's
I think
that's for
that's fine.
sure. That's for sure true. I
Yeah,
don't know. My UCL like European bias is coming in right now.
that's fine. That's fine.
We've never won the Europa League, so
There you go. It's the hardest trophy to win. Even Madrid can't do it. Um,
two finals, two losses.
oh really? I didn't know.
Yeah,
Was that like early
uh,
2000s,
80s.
80s?
Quinta del Butre twice. Back when you got second in the league, you actually
Yeah,
played Europa League. Not
that's pretty
not
crazy.
4 teams from your league make it.
I um, I think we should move on to
Move on.
maybe the
Yeah.
most interesting game of the Premier League.
Which should have been the most interesting game, but was actually a very boring game.
Oh yeah, I mean City completely destroyed United
It
3
was
1.
so boring, bro. It was so
Yeah,
boring.
it was.
There isn't even much to even talk about because it was that boring. Rashford
Oh,
banger. Phil
right,
Foden in great form. Holland
yeah,
finally scores.
yeah.
City win 3-1. There you go. That was the game.
I mean, there. Yeah,
I
you're right.
watched it.
Rashford's goal was really, really good,
Oh,
though.
it was amazing. He couldn't
It
hit
was
that again if
awesome.
he tried. Like
I
I could set Rashford up 1,000 times to do the same thing, and he could not go bar down again. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. And it's not because he's bad. It's just because that shot is so difficult to hit on one time. The XG was 0.03, and I'm like, nah, it's lower. I didn't believe. Like I saw it, I was like, it's not. It's not. It's
Foden's
because guys
first
hit
goal was
free kicks from there too. That's why. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. Foden's first goal was really nice too. It was also outside the
Amazing, bro.
box.
I think he might
Yeah,
be the best player in the world based on form right now. Like if we're basing it on form, I think he might be the best player right now. I can't think of anyone better right now.
maybe Frimpong.
I mean, obviously, dude's the goat. Okay, like undisputed.
No, that's a good.
But
That's a good.
seriously, but like right now in the moment, I think Frimpong's season's been better for sure. But if we're talking right now, I think he's been the most decisive player in Europe.
Well, I did have a question. Do you think he's a top five right winger in the world? Like not based on taking form into account, but not the entire question. If you know what I mean.
All right, well, actually, this is a good. I don't know if you saw my Chiesa notes, but I mentioned something like this. I think he probably is, but I think it's a really. I think it's only because it's a weak position. Like I don't think Salah. Like he'll be like I was talking to my friend who's a Liverpool fan, and we were talking about. He's like, dude, Salah's gonna get 100 million if he goes. I'm like, no, you are not. I'm like, dude, he's like just. I'm like, think of Robert Lewandowski. He's like, yeah, but Robert Lewandowski was never the best. I was like, dude, when he went to Barcelona, he should have been winning Ballon d'Or before that. Like two, he should have won two Ballon d'Ors before that. He got robbed twice. Um, anytime Messi wins, I don't know if you've noticed. Anytime Messi wins and he shouldn't have won, they make up some fucking striker award. Um, that have they've only been won by two players, Robert Lewandowski and Erling Haaland. But in no particular order, the top five right wingers in the world are probably, don't quote me just off the top of my head, Salah, Saka, Foden, Chiesa, Mikel Olise, probably. I think all those guys. Some people say Rodrigo. I kind of like Olise more than I like Rodrigo, but also I'm on a Rodrigo hate train right now, so I'm being
Nico Williams.
super biased. He plays on the left now. I think
Oh,
Inaki Williams deserves to be on that list because he's been on fire recently. He scored against Atletico, my boy.
I think I think Savio is in the combo too.
He
Um,
plays on the left, bro. I don't know,
he
like,
does.
yes, Ghana, but the fucking Ukrainian fuck plays on the right, which is
Saigenkov.
kind of weird because they've been talking about him being a right wing at City, and I've always been confused about that because I'm like, I've only seen this guy play on the left. Are we just assuming he plays on the right?
I mean, I assumed he was on the right.
Everyone did because why else would City buy him? They just bought Doku,
Yeah,
unless they plan on moving on from Grealish, or maybe they plan on doing something different with Grealish. I don't really know. And at this point, with the way Foden's playing, why I mean, and
yeah.
I think we need to have this conversation because Nikki texts me every fucking day. Anytime Foden does something, he texts me about Foden, and because I'm always kind of like, I'm not that I'm bullish on him. I just always say that like form is temporary and class is permanent. So I think we need to figure out if this is a class thing or if this is a form thing. Once we figure
Well,
that out, then we'll have the answer. Because that's when Rashford was going off last year. My boy's like, Rashford's the best player in the world. I'm like, dude, I, form is temporary, class is permanent. Well, what do you mean? I mean, let's wait and see if he does it for the whole fucking year. And guess what? He didn't. Okay, like Vinicius, that's class. Someone that does it the entire year. His form might be low, but he'll still pop up and do it for an entire length of a season. Foden, we've only seen it for a couple months now. Um, Probably not even a couple months. Probably like a month and a half, I'd probably say. So right now, recency bias says yes, he's got to be top five. Um, But before the reasons, like let's say if you asked me this question at the beginning of the season, I don't think I'd put him in my top five.
fair enough. It is. It's a
Would
very.
you have put him in your top five at the beginning of the season?
I mean, probably not.
I would have had Rodrigo in my top five at the beginning of the season, but right now I wouldn't. It's funny how these things change at the snap of a finger. If Foden goes and cools off for a month, guess what? He's gonna be out of everyone's top five. So, um, but the mainstays have always been Salah and Saka.
They
So.
have been. Yeah,
But
I think
Saka's a little bit different though. I think it's like not to hate on Saka, but I think it's more so because he's kind of been thrown into the deep end and he's kind of been the poster boy of the up and coming Arsenal team. I don't really think his advanced metrics are great. But his numbers are inflated because he usually takes pens for them, or at least he has in the past. And even more than so, his goals are inflated. I don't really think he's like a goal scoring winger. Like, I don't think he
Well,
is an open play goal scoring winger. I think actually Martinelli is probably more of a natural goal scorer than Saka is. I don't think that's a hot take.
he's got 13 and 8 this year in
How many
26
pens?
games. How many pens?
Just curious. I think he's a well-rounded winger, though. To be honest,
4 pens. So
4 pens,
nine
so
nine
9 and 8.
non-penalty. Yeah,
This guy
that's
gets
pretty
compared to
good.
Vinicius Jr., bro. Get the fuck out of here. Vinicius has played less games than him, and he's already got 14 and 7. Vinicius has missed like half the year to injuries. I think he's got 14 and 7 in 25 games.
It's pretty good. It's pretty
Yeah, I
good.
mean, for a guy that's not a goal scorer, that's pretty fucking good. So, and I don't know if that was before the 2 on the weekend. I don't remember. Oh, it was after because in 250 games, Vinicius has 177 goals and assists as a Real Madrid player. That's
That's really
pretty
good.
fucking good for a guy that's not even 24 and hasn't even hit his prime. Not to talk about my guys, but it's what
Yeah,
I see.
we will get there. Actually, we're there
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure we're moving there anyway.
Valencia 2 Real Madrid. I'm gonna just let you have the floor.
All right, that's
there's
fair.
there is so much to be said here.
So, coming into the game, this was the game which last season Vinicius dealt with a lot of racism, right? So you would have thought that La Liga would have done a good job of being like, hey, gotta get this under control. Kev, do you think La Liga did a good job of that this weekend? No. Yeah, Vinicius was still called a monkey, by a child caught on video. And so I had heard that someone racially abusing him on camera and they got attacked and they tried to rip the phone out of this lady's hands. Um, After Vinny scores a first one, he throws up the, black empowerment, whatever you want to call it, fist. The Malcolm X fist is what I think of it, but I don't know. But Real Madrid were really sloppy in the beginning. Valencia were really hyped. The crowd was really loud. There was points remember texting my friend and I was listening to it on my beats. Bro, you couldn't hear the announcers because the whistles were so loud in the stadium. That's insane. So for the first 25 minutes, we were just being whistled, and guess what? They got 2 goals in the first 30 minutes. First one, we're getting killed on the press. Fede hits a crossfield switch, probably about 10 feet too short. They keep that pressure up. Fulker, Vinicius tracks back, wins the ball back, makes a bad touch. Fulker gets it, hits a cross. Dude tries to hit a volley. He mishits it so bad it goes to like the penalty spot. He's like on the top left of the box. Or not even top left. He's like on the 6. He's probably like a couple yards off the 6 on the corner. Like if the 6 is like this, he's like here, right? So he hits it and he mishits it so bad it just hits right off Hugo Doris' head and goes in 1-0. And then 2-0 again being pressed to fucking oblivion. Danny Carvajal hits a pass back to the keeper, way too short. Yarmochuk goes on a breakaway, rounds Lunin. You're down 2-0. And the crowd is going insane. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my fucking god, this is so bad. So then it becomes the Vinicius Jr. show. Finally, Vini brings Real Madrid back, and Carvajal hits across Mama Darvashilia, whatever the fuck his Georgian name is. The Georgian names with the fucking retarded last names. It took me like a year to get Kvaratskhelia finally down. So who's a very good goalkeeper, by the way, the Valencia Georgia goalkeeper. He's amazing. He's one of the better goalies in the world, I'd say. Gets a hand on it, but then Rodrigo misses it, and then Vinicius comes in, taps it in. You're down 2-1 going into halftime. Pretty solid. Come back. Jude actually gets a chance on top of the 6 that he should have scored, it should have been at least a .6 xG. You can look it up. I don't know. I don't really care. It should have been a goal, but this is what happens when you're outperforming your xG by double. You're
Yeah.
gonna get back to the norm. So you take that one with a grain of salt. Then Vinicius scores a header, so it's now 2-2. And again, Vinicius is really routing up the crowd. And this is something I remember texting my friend, and I was like, this is what we expect from Vinicius. There's so many games where he gets drawn into the antics and stuff, and he's just more worried about like fighting the fans and stuff instead of actually putting it where it's going to actually bother the fans and fucking adding goals to the scoreboard or assisting goals. And no one gives it, like, Real Madrid fans are all for you doing your fucking, shoving up the fist, taunting the fans as long as you're backing it up. That's the thing. We just want to see you back it up. And Vinicius backed it up today, or 2 days ago now, yesterday, whatever it was. I think it was 2 days ago because we play on Wednesday. Vinicius backed it up and he won man of the match, well deserved. He was great, and he, for the first time I've seen in his career, he's actually used the whistles to motivate him, which is very Cristiano-esque, which is what made Cristiano like the GOAT for me, is that like when everything was pushed against him, he was just the fucking man. I will say also Fede Valverde, who's been one of the best players for Real Madrid this season, has been quite poor the past couple games, which is really concerning. I don't know his minute total, but it's got to be the most on the team. Very concerning. I'm pretty sure I only remember him resting like maybe 2 games this season, and he hasn't been hurt, which is really bad. Am I missing anything before I get to the goal? I just want to make sure I hit on everything. Oh yeah, Bellingham was pretty quiet, but it was his first game back. Rodrigo, I'm not sure. Actually, we should probably talk about Rodrigo. I don't think he deserves to be a starter right now. I think Brahim Diaz has been really awesome, and I think Brahim Diaz deserves to be the starter. But Rodrigo is a nailed-on starter for Carlo. No ifs, ands, or buts, and it's really concerning because he's been really poor, and he has not been good this season. I saw some stat. He has 12 GA this season, and 8 of the GA came in a 3-game span when Benitez was out. So he has 4 GA in all the other games in the season other than 3 games. That's really bad. This guy's a ghost. He's invisible a lot of games. And personally, as a Real Madrid fan, I'm ready to move on from him. I think we could get a good price tag. I think he would start for a lot of Premier League clubs. I think someone like Tottenham could really use him on the right, left, through the middle, any of those positions. I think he's a little too ball dominant. And in Real Madrid, he's the least ball dominant of our front 6. Like, he's going to touch the ball he's going to touch the ball the least of our 11 players. Let's put it that way. And if Mbappe comes, if Mbappe comes, or if a forward comes, just anyone, he is going to be the odd man out. He's the weak link. It's quite clear. People want to go back to the 4-3-3, and they're like, the one bad thing about Rodrigo is that like he has kind of a cult following in the club, and so people back him, no ifs, ands, or buts, and all you hear is excuses. Oh, he's better through the middle. Oh, he's better on the left. Oh, he needs a striker to play off. Oh, he needs this. Oh, he needs that. And me, I don't give a fuck about what he needs or what he wants. I care about one thing, and that's results. And guess what? We switched this formation. Everyone said, "Oh, dude, the formation's gonna fit Rodrigo. Vinicius is gonna have to change." Blah blah blah. Vinicius has looked a better player in the system. Like, I don't know. And Carlos switched the system 3 times now. Now we're playing like a 4-3-3. It doesn't look good. It looks slow. It looks predictable. I want to go back to the 4-2-2-2. I think that's when we looked the best, but that's when Vinicius was out, is when we're using the 4-2-2-2. But now on to what really matters and where you can start to chime in. I don't know what your opinion is on this. I've seen a pretty consistent from neutrals opinion on this, that they think this is ridiculous. So what happens is Phil Manzano, who is not a good ref, I've never liked him. He's considered one of the better Spanish refs, but he had the Europa League final last year. Is that what West Ham played in, or was that the Conference League?
Conference.
Conference? Okay, he was the ref for the final, and in
Wait,
that match, I want to say it
Just,
was Europa.
yeah, I think it was
Um,
actually.
Declan Rice was telling him that he was a clown, like in the tunnel. There, it was caught of him calling him a clown. He said, "You're a joke. You're a clown." He is. A couple years ago, when Real Madrid had 3 penalties called against them, guess who was the ref? Phil Manzano. Okay, so like this guy is just, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been pens, but like 3 pens is a lot for a game. You're lucky if you get 1 pen in a game. Three and all for the same team, that's crazy. And so what happens is he says to them, "This is your last kick of the game." You know what? That's fair. You want to say that's the last kick of the game? That's fair. But that's bullshit. There was a VAR review in the middle of it. We only got +7. It should have been like +10. I don't know if you saw, but Diakabi, you know who that is? He's like a center back for Valencia. Or his bone was sticking out of his knee. Like he had to get carted off. That took at
Jesus
least
Christ.
that took like 6 minutes on its own. It wasn't considering the fact that there were goals scored, there were substitutions, everything. You only get +7. Me and my friend texted before it happened, and we were like, "It should." I was like, "It should be at least +9." He goes, "It should be at least +10." We get +7. We know what we get. It's not legal. We don't ever get help. It's fine. Um, yes. Then there's a VAR review. So the VAR reviews, people timed it. It took about 2.5 minutes. Okay. So you want to add 2.5 minutes above 7, that's 9 minutes and 30 seconds. So we should have been at, it should have been to essentially the 100th minute. So in minute 98, at minute 97, we get a corner. Phil Manzano says to Luka Modric and the guys, "This is your last kick of the game." Okay, if it's the last kick of the game, the moment that ball is cleared, you blow the whistle. He didn't do that. He let Brahim Diaz dribble with it and move to the side. Brahim hits a cross. When the ball is in the air, he then blows his whistle. When the ball is in the air, he blows his whistle, and Jude Bellingham scores the game-winning goal. The Valencia players are very angry because they conceded, because they think they conceded. The stadium is pissed off because they think they conceded. And this guy says, "Nope, game over, 2-2." And then has the nerve to give Jude Bellingham a red card for saying it's a fucking goal. That's all he said. It's a fucking goal. And then Jude sees a red card. And people started pulling up the receipts, you know what I mean? Um, there was Luis Suarez didn't even Luis Suarez didn't even get a yellow card for calling Gil Manzano and telling him that um you're a fucking clown, you pussy. He had said that to his face and no yellow card, but saying it's a fucking goal is a red card. That has to be appealed, you think? Real Madrid are gonna appeal it, but you think it has to be repealed. You would think. Because that's not worthy of a red card, man.
No, it's not.
I'm done
I
now.
mean, the goal should have stood. I don't see how you can blow the whistle when the cross is in the air. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Not
And
not
I'm
to
super
mention the fact that,
biased, like I'm biased about it. Not
yeah.
only did it cost me money, but it cost me fucking coin, like cost me coin, cost me money, cost me points in the table, cost my Real Madrid. Like I'm more mad about the Real Madrid stuff than I am about the money stuff. Money comes and goes, but the points, like we're not gonna get those points back. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I texted you that I forget what I said, but I'd be pissed about it
I think you
if it
said you'd be
happened to me.
fuming.
Yeah, I'd be fuming if it were Spurs. I don't see how that's justified whatsoever. Um, it has to be the biggest controversy of this season so far. Just because I don't really think there's, sorry to any Valencia fans if they're somehow watching, but like, I don't think that there's any way that Valencia has a case for this or the referee has a case for this.
Well,
It
it's
doesn't
funny.
make
The Valencia media, you know what they were saying? They were saying, "Oh, it's justified. Vinicius should have seen a red card." Vinicius didn't even
huh?
see a yellow card. What the fuck did Vinicius get? They're super, bro. They're just haters, man. They are just haters. It,
Is Valencia known to be like a racist part of Spain? No? Huh.
they just really don't like Vinicius. That's all it is.
That's weird. It's very
Yeah.
weird. Um,
Valencia actually has a lot of players from African descent, always.
I was trying to think of Valencia players, but I couldn't. And also,
Diakabi's black.
also
They got
just
Hugo Doro. He's really good.
Just
but he's
a
white, so
just a clarification. West Ham won the Conference League last year.
okay.
Um,
I don't. Who won Europa? Oh, did Sevilla win last year? I'm pretty sure they
yeah,
did.
Sevilla won.
Almost
Beat
got relegated. Almost got relegated, but still won Europa. That's incredible.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, we should
Um,
have known that because West Ham was not in the Champions League this year.
yeah, yeah, they were in Europa. They're still in Europa. Um, are you ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. Almeria still remain without any wins in the league as they lose to Celta Vigo 1-0. Are you saying that this is the best, like one of the best relegation teams you've seen in Almeria?
It's one of the best winless. I think it's the best winless team I've ever seen in my fucking life. This team should be mid-table at the very least. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. They are they're fun to watch. They're entertaining. They play well. They've played really well against all the top teams in Spain. And actually, I think if you put them, I think if you put them up against like a Sheffield United, they probably put like a fucking 5 spot on them.
Probably. Sheffield United suck. I didn't realize Darwin Nunez used to play for Almeria.
Yeah, he did.
I did not. I did
I
not
also
realize.
found out today that Bruno Fernandes used to play for Unidense.
Yeah,
He was a flop at Unidense. Imagine being a flop at Unidense who can't win a game and can only draw, but you are apparently the best player at Man United. That's a problem.
yeah. Um,
Shots fired at
Sociedad
all
poor form
times.
continues as they lose to Sevilla 3-2. Sergio Ramos grabs the winner. Sociedad
Well,
are really, really shaky right now. And
and
it's
we
not.
expect these guys to knock out PSG, or we want these guys to knock out PSG. It's not looking likely.
I mean, we expected it to be a close tie, and I guess we're kind of looking like fools now. But at the time of our
Still
predictions,
might be, bro. That's the crazy thing about it.
yeah, it could be. Um,
Hugo did the
Villarreal.
press conference today, and he said that he was rested at the week game. So he said, "I've been rested against Sevilla, so if I don't perform, that's my problem." Essentially, is what he said.
Wait, who said that?
Kubo.
Kubo. Hopefully, he lights up. He lights PSG up.
I would
Um,
love that.
Villarreal under Marcelino, good form continues as they walk away winners behind a Sorloth. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Hat trick as they smack Granada at home 5-1. Um,
Yeah,
Atletico, good form at home continues. What a surprise. But it is
yeah,
without Griezmann. They walk away victors under Real Betis, so that's a good result. Is Griezmann going to be back for the Inter game?
yeah. I think he was just rested.
Okay, okay. Because I noticed I was watching Athletic Bilbao against Atletico.
Barca. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you meant this weekend.
Copa del Rey last week. That was I don't. Everything blends together. Point being is Atletico looked shocking without Griezmann in that game.
Oh, it was
Um,
Copa. Yeah,
yeah,
I remember
um,
that. Was he suspended for that, or no? He just missed.
yeah. He just didn't play.
Jesus.
Correa was in there to kind of be the Griezmann role, but it did not. It did not work out at all. Bilbao, they were looking really good. I'd be afraid of them if they were in the UCL this year. Um, anyways, Athletic Club, speaking of, they hold Barcelona 0-0 as their unbeaten streak at home continues. Their loss last at home was match day 1 against Madrid. That is a stat that I did not know about. Um, but yes, I did see this. Pedri and Frankie de Jong go down. That is a huge, huge loss for them, especially thinking of UCL coming back.
And Napoli looked good, which we'll get to.
Yeah. You want to just go straight to Syria?
Do you want to talk about Pedro's injury at all?
Um,
It's the
and just
same
how he,
injury he's had 3 times in a row.
yeah.
Hamstring, right hamstring, 3 times in a row. Um, do we think it's a physio problem? Do we think he's a problem? Do we want to talk about the over-reliance Barcelona has on their youngsters in general? Just the fact that Gavi now tore his ACL, which is a freak accident, but still, like you don't tear your ACL normally from like overuse. Usually just something hyperextends and it snaps like that. So I can't blame Barcelona for that. But when we look at the minutes, Pedri in his first season played 72 games, I think, including every game for Spain and every minute at the World Cup. And I think he probably hasn't even hit that number since then.
No, definitely not.
I don't think he's played that many games like since then in like 3 years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but I mean I could easily look it up.
No, it is concerning for Pedri. I think a hamstring's a bit more preventable. Um, is that not a bit more of a preventable injury?
I think it's tough to I think once you get it once, it's very tough to stop it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, but yeah, you do want him to stay healthy. He's one of the best young midfielders in the game. I don't know. I think Barcelona should probably stop relying on youngsters, but I don't know if they have another option, to be honest. They're so financially constricted, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a
Well, and
it's a
that's the
two-sided.
issue. But they have no problem calling all these guys up. God, he played 52 games for Barca in 2021. That's not even including how many games he played for Spain. And that's where the hamstring injury came in. There you go. There's a hamstring right there for Spain.
Yeah, it's he's a player that I really enjoy. I've told you about all about it.
I like Pedri too, like as a player.
Yeah.
He's played 22, then 35, and then this year he's played 20 some.
So yeah, barely
So he's
72.
close. He's close. He's close. He's missed 72 games though. They said he's missed 72 games since then for a club. Mostly hamstring injuries. Like if you go through his detailed, like where they say like what's the injury, hamstring injury. Like that's sad. Like apparently he like felt the pop and he was crying, bro, on the
Yeah.
pitch when he got one like left. Like you got to feel bad for the guy, but like also like at this point he's not as good as the other players because the best ability is availability, and if he's never available or is rarely available, it's tough to get into form and stuff. Um, if you were Barcelona, would you cash in on him while you could?
I don't know. I think I would rather cash in on Gavi just because I think Pedri is a bit more versatile.
Niche.
Yeah. Um, and I just think Pedri is a bit better.
See, I like Gavi. I would actually keep Gavi because I think Pedri's ceiling's a little higher, but I think Gavi, it's kind of like Gavi reminds me a lot of Fede Valverde, and like I don't know. I wouldn't trade Fede for the world because I love the guys that work hard, and they're so hard to find in modern midfielders. I can find a Pedri. Guess what? I just go sign Jamal Musiala. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
but there's not.
Like
There's just not a whole lot of those guys.
you
You
can go
know,
get Florian Wirtz. You know what I mean? Like I can find them though.
you can find them. You can find them for sure. I just don't know
I
if
can't
Barca.
find a Gavi.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's my only reason why I would. I'm not saying we need to pick and choose, but if I had to pick and choose,
I
that's who
just
I would
think
move.
there's not too many players that can pick a pass like Pedri, that can see the pitch
No,
like Pedri.
there aren't, but there are a couple.
There are a few. There are a few, but
And
there's
their midfield is going to be dude. The fuck is their midfield going to be against Napoli? Gundogan, Christensen.
they're gonna have to play Romeo, I think, right? Or a youngster like Fermin,
It's probably going to be Fermin.
which is that's not a good midfield.
He's not good though. Like he's not
Let me
good.
see. I really want to check now.
You can, and then if you want, I can keep going.
Yeah.
so I can keep pushing. Where we're at. Uh, oh, so Serie A, just some quick hitters here. Milan pick up all 3 points against Lazio as Lazio's poor form continues, losing 4 of their last 6, and Lazio pick up 3 red cards. And the Pulisic, oh god, draws 2 of them late. I saw the CONCACAF. It was like you can take Pulisic out of CONCACAF, but you can't take the CONCACAF out of Pulisic. Um, Udinese, another draw. Roma's great form continues as they win 4-1 at Monza. And here's the big one. Bologna beat Atalanta to take 4th place as their own. After a penalty from Xerxes ties it at all, and Ferguson gets the winner. Bologna are now 2 points clear of Atalanta. And Inter's great form continues as they take all 3 points away from home at home against Genoa today.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I saw that the XG was even for the Bologna Atalanta game, but
Yeah,
obviously take into account Bologna's pen, so Atalanta maybe a bit more threatening, a bit more chances created, but you love to see it. We've been high on Bologna for quite a long time now, and it's destiny is in their hands when it comes to UCL qualification. And as we were saying, with Syria probably having the 5th spot, like it's looking pretty good for them. I don't know. Are they gonna have one more year of this, or is the squad gonna get picked apart in the summer?
I think
Along with
Diego Mata goes. That's gonna be
yeah,
the problem.
yeah.
And maybe Xerxes.
Ferguson's really good too, Lewis Ferguson. Um,
Yeah, I liked him a lot for I don't remember where at though.
yeah.
And what were you looking up before I started ranting?
Uh, Barcelona midfield. It is gonna have to
Oh
be
yeah,
Fermin Lopez or Sergi Roberto. Um,
dude, I would just play Sergi.
I would too, but I don't think Xavi will.
No, me neither. I would just, I don't know, bro. He's been playing Jules Koundé, bro. Honestly, I'd probably just go to like a back three and like, the problem is you don't have ball day. His ball days hurt too. God, this is not gonna be pretty for them to get
it,
advanced. It's gonna be
it's gonna
tough.
be it's gonna be a big struggle because in their last match they played Koundé at right back and a back three. It could work. They could do it. Anyways, the big
They
game in
just need to
Syria.
go super defensive, bro. That's gonna have to be the plan. Like you
Mm-hmm.
just got to use what you have, and I mean Paul Kubarsi has looked really good, by the way. But imagine spending all that money on Jules Koundé just to play him at right back for a
Yeah.
fucking academy kid. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Um, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm done with that. Napoli Juve though, we can get into that one.
Yeah. So Napoli beat Juve 2-1. Napoli's starting to look good again. Coaching, manager bounce perhaps, or they're just good now. Juventus have
I think
also
it's probably a
fallen
mix
off.
of both. I think it's probably a
Yeah.
mix of both.
Kvaratskhelia has also finally kind of gotten out of his slump too. Um, and in this game, you have Juve trending down and Napoli trending up. Um, so they're kind of like the end of Fast and Furious, where Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are splitting apart. That's what I'm picturing right now. Um,
Except one car is light blue and the other one's black and white.
yeah. Um, I didn't see the Chiesa goal. It was that good.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, dude, Federico Chiesa was one of the top talents in the world before he tore his ACL. He was considered one of the best wingers in the world before he tore his ACL. I thought he was the best right winger in the world before he tore his ACL. And he can play on both wings. He can play through the middle. And Italy has really missed him up front because they don't really have a lot of talent up front. They could really use a 9 like Balotelli back in the day. But yeah, I thought it was a clean finish, man. It's something only a world class player could hit, in my opinion. It was like outside the box, low and hard for a post. And
Yeah.
like he just created his own space and made a little bit of room and just it went through everybody. Like
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Chiesa too. Um, mainly FM reasons, but
If you aren't a big fan of Chiesa, it's because you don't have ball knowledge. You lack to have any sort of brain cells in your brain.
yeah, I would argue he's probably Juventus's best player.
Him or Vlahovic, I would say.
Yeah, which I guess we could have talked about this, but speaking of Juventus, Paul Pogba, 4-year ban. Is
He's
his career,
appealing it, so
he's appealing it?
He clearly doesn't think he did anything wrong. So we'll see.
Fair enough. Yeah,
Apparently, it's
maybe.
the same guy who gives LeBron his PEDs.
I,
I just made
what
that
do
up,
you,
but
oh, you
um,
made it up?
yeah,
I,
LeBron is clearly on steroids though. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I've been saying that for years.
well, he spends as much as like Ronaldo on rehabilitation.
Yeah, except Ronaldo's not on PEDs, so it must be real easy to rehabilitate when you have fucking steroids in your system.
I don't know, man. He spends like over $1 million every summer
He was on the A-Rod list.
on the A-Rod list. What's that?
Remember when all those guys in baseball got busted for steroids and they were all on the same list? He was a client of that guy's.
Interesting. Interesting.
But he's
I haven't
LeBron, he's their guy, so
The NBA really never comes out with like PED busts. Now that I think about
never,
it,
bro. It's dude, because all those guys are getting high in the locker room and shit. They crack down on one thing. Everyone in the league is done. It doesn't matter. Dude, you don't know
yeah,
how many guys come out and they're like, yeah, I played every game in my career high. And you're just
yeah.
like, okay.
The uh, the NBA Player Association is probably the strongest here in
Oh, for
America,
sure.
like by
For
far.
sure. MLB is really good too. Very
Yeah,
strong. I'm
yeah.
sure you don't know about that as much as I'm sure you know. Do you even follow either of those sports? I don't think you do. Do you?
Uh, I follow both when it comes to playoff time. Um,
That's fair.
I'll keep it a
Most
buck.
people do.
Yeah,
Most people do.
I mean,
Was pretty boring this weekend.
it was. Both my basketball team and baseball teams are really really poor. Tigers and Pistons.
I
So
would say, are you a Pistons fan too? God, that must
yeah.
blow.
Anyways, not to turn this into something else. Indeed, the
I mean,
Bundesliga was really poor. I'm going to start from the bottom just to switch it up. Leverkusen extend their lead at the top with a 2-0 win versus Cologne. It's 10 points now, and maybe you're right from last podcast. Maybe it could be
told
done
you
sooner.
Bayern are going to drop them.
Yeah.
Drop them. Dude,
Um,
it's going to be a Liverpool Leverkusen final in Europa League. It's going to be better than the Champions League final if that happens.
I,
That is going to be better than the Champions League final if that happens. Because there's going to be some bums going to get to the Champions League final, and every single Champions League final has ended 1-0 for the last fucking 5 years. So I'm tired of it. Give me a fucking explosive game like Flop versus Chabi. Give it to me. Inject it into my fucking veins.
yeah, no, I mean, it sounds awesome. It really does. Um, I was watching this game in Nicky's actually. Stuttgart get
Let's
all
go.
3 points against Wolfsburg, 3-2.
They're fun to watch, man. Stuttgart are actually like really
Yeah.
entertaining.
And, it was earlier in the season when we were like saying, "Oh, they're in the top four." And you're kind of treating them like a little kid, like it'll,
It'll fall off, yeah.
yeah, but it hasn't. They're really good. Garase's kept up the form even since coming back from AFCON. Um, Love to see it for them.
Did we mention that Girona lost to Mallorca?
We didn't know.
Okay, well, Girona did lose to Mallorca. I think that's 4 or 5 because you said like treating someone like a little kid, and I was like, yeah, we all treated Girona like they were a little kid too. Like, oh, it's
Yeah,
so cute that you're in this title race.
yeah.
And as you see, Barca are gonna jump them, bro. And let's not forget. Let's remember. I know we're off Bundesliga, but let's remember the RFEF, who is in charge of Spain, Spanish football. They have to pay Saudi Arabia $5 million if Barcelona doesn't get second place. So
It's always money, man. It's always money.
remember, they
Um,
stole that game away from them against Sociedad.
what Girona?
Yeah. Remember the goal got called off for something that happened like 2 minutes beforehand.
Yeah, yeah. I do remember that now.
It's like there should be like a statute of limitations on how long something can go by before it actually affects the play.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Augsburg smokes Darmstadt 6-0, and I saw the video that you sent me. I love that type of stuff, dude.
That's
I
so
really
great.
do.
Yeah, me too.
The ultra. the ultras for Darmstadt, or just one, is
There's one guy.
he has the team on the pitch and he is just laying into them. I don't really think angrily. I think more so just like a coach would do. Like, what are you playing for if not for the team, if not for yourself, that type of thing. That
Not
was
for
really cool.
us. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, play for some fucking pride. I'm pretty sure they're like 12 points under. Like, I'm pretty sure it's bad.
Yeah.
They have 13 points and Bochum in 15th, that's 25. But Cologne in 16th place, that 16th place is a playoff.
Right.
So, if you can get to that playoff game, at least then, they're only 4 points back from the playoffs. So,
Who knows? I mean, it'll kind of be interesting to keep tabs on their form after this.
mhm.
Um, I saw the one player for Darmstadt was like twiddling his hands, like he was even nervous. The ultra was making him nervous. It was awesome. It really was. And you wonder. I don't know. I think American sports could use stuff like that. I know the Union
They would
Ultras
never
are like
allow it.
the Union Ultras are pretty crazy, but definitely nothing like this at all. Um,
So I was just looking at the Bundesliga standings, and something that spoke out to me was the fact that Leverkusen is a plus 45 goal differential. And I was just reminded that Jose Mourinho had a plus 100 goal differential with Real Madrid in 11-12.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Plus 100. Um,
They've conceded 16 goals and they've scored 61. Like, that's absurd. But Real
it is.
Madrid in 11-12 literally scored like 112 goals.
Was that just prime Ronaldo?
Uh, just prime Real Madrid.
Fair enough. Um, Dortmund picked up all 3 points away against an in-form Union Berlin side, winning 2-0. Adeyemi scored that goal, and I saw that. It was a really nice goal, bar down.
It
Um,
was.
really nice
Happy
goal,
for
actually.
him. Very
Yeah,
happy for him.
I think he's one of the players where we talk about they just need to find their position. He's played everywhere across the front for Dortmund. I think I'd prefer him off the right as an inside forward, but who am I? Anyways, Bayern dropped points again as they tie Freiburg away from home. I didn't see Tell starts.
Yeah, he started on the right. And it was a plus 89 goal differential. 121 scored 32 goals against. And 11. Is that 11
Still
12?
pretty crazy.
Yeah. 11
Um,
11 12. Let me look
do you
at
want to talk about the
11.
Bayern Freiburg game at all?
Yeah, we can. We can touch on it. Let me see.
No, I thought maybe you
I
maybe you
didn't
knew.
watch it. I'm not gonna lie
Okay,
to you. I was driving to South Carolina.
fair enough.
Um,
Well, our boy Mathis Tell started, and it got them the draw
really
instead of
your
the
boy.
loss.
Really your boy.
Yeah,
You love that
my
man,
boy.
so that's fair.
Um,
We'll give it to you, your boy.
and I think that Bayern probably drew the game instead of lost because Tell started. I'm not even. I have
No,
no
I tend to
evidence.
agree.
I have no evidence whatsoever, but I'm gonna
Did you
stake
see
my claim
Kimmich
to.
played right back?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Guerrero. It was Guerrero, Kim, and Dyer, Kimmich, Pavlovich, and Goretzka in midfield, Muller, Musiala, and Tell, and Harry Kane up top.
Still no width down the right, but you know,
And and they only had 7 players on the bench, it looks like.
I saw today that supposedly Tuchel could still leave before the end of the season. Um,
What's the point at this point?
I don't
You
know.
should have fired him a month ago then
Let me see.
to
Let me
try to
see.
win the Champions League.
Let me see.
The league is gone. You're 10 points back. The league is done.
Update from Fabrizio Romano. Bayern decide for Tuchel to stay at least until Champions League game versus Lazio. But if FC Bayern did not advance to the next round, Tuchel's job would be in immediate danger once again.
That's
So
stupid. That's stupid.
it
That's
is
stupid.
pretty silly.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. That's stupid. Why are you gonna fire the guy after the season's over? Like, The season is over once you get knocked out by Lazio. It's over. So why? You're out of the Pokal, you're out of the league, you're out of the Champions. Stupid. Pissed me off.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think that they're going to bring in their ideal replacement before the summer. So
Might as well just keep him. You gotta
yeah.
pay him anyway.
Anyways, that has been our episode. Champions League comes back tomorrow, so we'll be back in a few days. And follow us on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. We've been a little slow, but we are just both incredibly busy. Still busting these out though. So thank you all for watching.
At least the pods are consistent.
Yes, doing one thing right. But yeah, thank you all for watching, listening, hearing. Yeah, it was a pleasure. I'll talk to you, BJ.
See you tomorrow, Kev.
Peace.